What is going on, everyone? It is Tyler McKinney back here again, and we're going to get back into our series of breaking down each one of the XFL teams for this upcoming 2023 season. And today we're going to talk about the Arlington. It's hard to say that. I want to say Dallas, but it's really the Arlington Renegades. And yes, this was the Dallas Renegades last time, and now they're the Arlington team. And so you're going to see a reoccurring theme here. It's kind of like old is new, new is old. It's kind of the same thing, but only different. At least that's how I view it, and that's how we're going to look at it. So first and foremost are the Arlington Renegades now, and not the Dallas Renegades. They're going to be playing at the exact same place where they were. And actually the cool thing is and I think this is cool, Arlington is where their hub city is. So everybody's practicing, all of the headquarters, everything for the XFL is in Arlington, and then they go out on game day and go play the games in the different markets, then come back. So this is their home base, so it kind of makes sense to change the name from Dallas to Arlington. And it is kind of cool. It does give it kind of its own style, its own feel than what it was before. But you still have the Renegades name. However, we are missing the Renegade logo. And like some of you out there, I actually really did like the logo. I don't have anything necessarily against the uniforms and the logo this time. Actually, when I was first against that baby blue, but once I saw that in real life and what they did with that the first time around, I fell in love with those, with just that look and just setting it off with that red. And I think that they did a really good job this time around setting it off with the red. It looks really cool, but to be honest with you, I liked the Renegade logo with the Renegade and that kind of bandit kind of a look on it. I mean, I liked it. It was nice to me. To where it's really nice. It's really sharp. If they would have come out with this first, I would have loved it, but I don't. And again, it's the same thing, but only different. So those are my thoughts. I think it looks great. I think it's good. I would have kept the original logos and maybe they'll work that back in as the years go by and progress. But, it's not anything that, I'm going to cry, spill milk over or anything like that. I mean, it is what it is. Moving on, though, so we've got the same head coach, but he's only a little bit older and a little bit wiser. Things didn't really go the way that they planned the first time around. Yeah, they were still kind of in that playoff hunt, but they were kind of upside down. They had Landry Jones, and, they really didn't portray what they wanted to last time. And this time, Bob Stoops is back to right that ship. And with him are some familiar faces. You've got the Hayes brothers that are going to be coming back with him this time. And so you've got John and you've got Jay, and they're both going to be on their respective sides of the ball. They're both going to be co-coordinators. So you've got John Hayes, who was the head coach of the Battlehawks the last time around, and his brother, who is a co-defensive coordinator, and Jay was his defensive coordinator, and Tim Lewis is going to be co-defensive coordinating with him, and you got Chuck Long. Both of those guys have storied careers in being, positional coaches and also offensive or defensive coordinators. John and Chuck are going to be the guys running the offense, and you've got Jay and Tim running the defense. And I think that these are all great hires. These are good people to put around him. And we'll get into breaking down the offenses and defenses here in just a minute. But, you can definitely tell that this time around he switched things up. Still kind of the same type of a take on things, but kind of with a shift or just a little bit different, just to throw you off, to make you think twice, like, is this... I think I've seen this before, right? But this is different. It's kind of what we're doing with this whole team. That's the kind of the whole name of the game. So now going in, let's just go ahead and, like I did with the last one, let's start with the defense. This is going to be a defense that is going to be they're going to be a good come at you defense. This is going to be a defense that is going to be strong. If you remember, Tim Lewis is a guy who, with the iron, they had a really, really strong defense there. He's very defensive minded with that type of a thing. So as I look at this stuff and their defensive backfield, I mean, they've got Will Hill, Ballsby. They've got a lot of guys that are ball hawks back there, to where I really see them, being able to possibly create some turnovers. I see that they're going. I think they're going to be playing some pretty decent defense here with it. Now, I don't know if this is going to be really that complementary to the type of offense that I think that we're going to get out of them, which is going to be more of a fast-paced offense, to where it might get this defense in some struggles at some points of the game. They might get out of position from being aggressive. I don't see this as your bend, don't break defense. I see this as kind of be some shutdown defense that are going to be more, they're going to be feast and famine type of a thing, but this is going to be a hungry defense with a lot of guys that have a lot of experience, and who have played well in these alternative type of football leagues outside of the NFL. So I'm excited to see how this defense is going to run under Jay and Tim. And again, both of these guys are very storied guys in their football careers in coaching. These guys have really good pedigrees, and they come from systems that work. So I know that this is going to work on defense, and they have the personnel to do it. To where I think that this time around, they're going to have a really good defense to really help out with the offense. Now, looking at the offense, which everybody wants to look at, we've got Jay and Chuck, and really, it starts at the quarterback position, and I think that this time, when you look at the quarterbacks that they have, and when you look at the guys that are there, it starts really with Kyle Sloter, right? So Kyle Sloter played really well for New Orleans last year in the USFL, got a shot in the NFL, didn't kind of work out, which you kind of figure. And then you've got Drew Pillett from Ball State, who's kind of this will be interesting. He spent some time in Cincinnati, but we really don't know a whole lot about him. And then you've got kind of Kevin Anderson, who's kind of played in the CFL. He was there in Orlando for a little bit. He was also in the Spring League when they when they did their weird thing, I think in San Antonio. And so, you've got really three solid options there, but I think Sloter's going to be the guy, and especially if Sloter's healthy, I think that, that groin injury that he had, I think it was a groin injury that he had in the USFL, really kind of put him back and kind of hurt him, and I think that did kind of hurt that New Orleans team, and, it limited what they could do. I think so. I think if he can stay healthy, he's really going to really help this team out. Now, going to the position that I'm kind of really excited about, because they've got some guys that, believe it or not, I actually really do like on this team. You've got Kenneth Farrow. I really like the way that he played when he played for the Dragons the last time around. And then you had Devion Smith from Michigan. Yes, I know he's a Michigan guy. It's really hard for me to root for him, but I just like the way that these guys are guys that are, they're not your speedster guys, but they're both guys that can catch the ball out of the backfield, know how to run really, really good routes, and they're both guys that fall forward. They give you positive yards. You also have, Keith Ford. Keith Ford is a very, very hard, runner. He's going to get you, again, positive yards, guys, falls forward. He's not going to be, these are not your shifty guys. These are your guys who are going to pound the ball and pound it well. And so I really, really like that, especially for this type of offense that they're going to be running. So moving on to the wide receivers, we got a couple guys that really stick out to me. Smallwood was a guy that was really coming on in the 2020 season once they figured out things. That Wildcats offense, they exploded those last couple of weeks, and they were really fun to watch. They were starting to really gel and figure that out, and he was a big part of that and getting that ball down the field. And I think also, too, with a guy like Nagel's going to be that guy that just kind of gets lost in things that can really, create some havoc and that with it. And then of course you've got at the tight end, you got Sal Calanella, who's just been a alternative, football league star. The guy does really well down the field. He's had opportunities in the NFL. It just really hasn't clicked for him. I don't know what it is with him, but he tends to be a guy that is really looked highly on in these spring leagues. So as I look at this offense, I think that Bob Stoops is going to kind of, so the whole air raid with Hal Mummy and all of that, I think that he's going to tone that back some. And you can definitely tell with him, bringing in Hayes. Hayes is I think you're going to see kind of a hybrid of kind of what Hayes ran when he was the head coach of the Battlehawks and kind of the raid, the air raid type of a thing. I think you're going to see more of kind of like what Bob Stoops actually did when he was at Oklahoma with some of those really good running backs that they had there and those staple of that with it. I think you're going to see the running game get a little bit more involved in this. And I think part of it's going to be is because you got a guy like Sloter, who's going to be able to sling the ball down the field with guys like Smallwood, who are going to get open down the field, that are going to stretch that field to open things up underneath as well. So I think that this is, so if you're thinking that we're going to get that 2020, type of offense, I don't, that with Landry Jones throwing the ball all over the place, now granted, he did have, picks galore and things, but he did have some electric plays, and they had some electric plays on that team. But when, Nelson came in, it was just anemic. So after Landry Jones got hurt, they had absolutely nothing because Nelson couldn't throw the ball down the field. And so you need a guy to be able to throw the ball down the field when you're running that type of offense. I think it's going to be a little bit more balanced this time. This is a team, if I look at it, this is a team that I see because of the defense, and if they can get the offense to get going, this is going to be a dangerous team to me, especially with a guy like Kyle Sloter. If Sloter can stay healthy, this is a team that can make it to the playoffs that I would expect to see there in that place, be playing in that that playoff game. I don't expect them to be the champions of the league or anything like that. I look at them more probably like that 5 to 7 wins range is kind of where I'm seeing them from looking at what I'm, taking. I think that this is going to be a fun team to watch. They're going to have a lot of ups, but I think that they're going to give up a lot too as well, to where their games are going to be fun to watch. I think they're going to lose some games that they should win, and I think they might even pull out a couple games that they should lose. But when it comes down to it, I think that they're going to either be right on the cusp of the playoffs, or they're going to lose in that first game of the playoffs. So those are my thoughts on the Arlington Renegades. And yes, that is weird. I'm still working all of that stuff out in my head. Like always, I want to know what your thoughts are. Let me know down in the comment section, and we'll continue the conversation on down there. All right, guys, listen, I know that you're busy, and I know that I'm busy, so let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.